Welcome to AGR Book Talk. I'm Dr. Felicia J. Lindsey, your host, fellow book lover and passionate advocate for storytelling in all its forms. Whether you're a reader, a writer, a book influencer, a podcaster, a bookstore owner, or someone who simply loves the magic of great stories, we're so glad you're here. Subscribe, follow, and join us on this journey. Engage with us on social media, share your favorite reads, and let's build a community that celebrates books in the most unique and exciting ways. New episodes drop regularly, so don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button, follow us on your favorite platform, and let's turn every page into an adventure together. Thanks for tuning in. Now, let's talk books. Hello, we are with Krash May the Poet. I've been wanting to get a poet on for so long, and now I have. Now, this is the big thing about it. I love poetry. I love how the words are smooth and rhythmic. I just like to read in general. But I know poetry is very internal, it's kind of getting your thoughts out of your head, taking an introspective view. What got you into poetry?
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be the first poet. That is awesome. But what got me into poetry is a lot of what you said. That introspective viewpoint. I started writing really young. I started writing, just keeping a diary, and I kept a diary for almost 5 years. Um, from the time that I was, I think, either 9 or 10, and I kept that same diary, but there was a lot of things I wanted to express, and I didn't feel like I had safe people to express to. So I had nowhere for it to go but to write it down. And that was general writing. And then some of that shaped into poetry because there was a draw to poetry for me, even young. I mean, even just Dr. Seuss, just the rhythm of the words and learning about cadence and just how fun that was. And also how poetry makes you feel when you're reading specific things. So that definitely pulled me in.
All right. Now I do want you to read something from your new book before we leave, but what is one of your favorite lines or something that you've written that is just dear to your heart?
A personal experience that's being shared and questions that I ask myself, I'm posing to others as well within this book. It is to be absorbed in that way too. So all of it is impactful, but there is a specific piece in the book, and it's called "What's Your Answer?" And the poem is really short, but I think very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically says, don't you get tired of pretending, fighting so hard to make it seem like you're not drowning when all your dreams are of swimming?
Yes. I think everybody can identify with that because basically what did I good well, I'm from Texas. I know that you're in Ohio.
Mhm.
And I was in Ohio for a while. I lived out in Akron, a Bath area.
Yeah.
But what I would tell you is Southern mom is always going to tell you smile. It don't matter if you're not happy. You in church, you gonna smile. So I totally get what you're talking about.
Yeah. It is that. I think that sometimes we don't even think about that, and just like you said, sometimes it's innate because people have said this is the way you present yourself, this
Yeah.
is what you do, and it becomes internalized and kind of turned into your own voice, and you
Mhm.
don't always recognize that something else is going on. You just know you're supposed to keep pushing. But I want people to think about addressing things that are bothering them or things that don't quite feel right, and just stop kind of going through the motions, because it all adds up eventually.
Mhm.
And we do tend to get to that point where you're like, how did I get here? When
Yes.
did this happen? And
Mm-hmm.
so there are questions kind of in the poetry just like that for that purpose, and things that I also asked myself. And I think that that was why this book in particular made a lot of sense to me for right now, even though I was going through a lot of these things as the process was being of this book being written.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew it was going to be relatable, and I felt like other people can use this. It'll be valuable.
Okay. Now, I come back in the time frame of spoken word. Are you doing a lot of spoken word where you are? Or basically you're writing and just really trying to push and get people onto your mission to self-reflect?
I perform, but I wouldn't say spoken word necessarily. A lot of time I'm reading off of the page. I'm not necessarily doing more what the performance
Um,
aspect of that is.
mhm.
Again, I do read, but I'm coming with a book. I not. This is not out of my brain. All of it comes from me anyway, and I've come to terms with that. But I cannot, for the life of me, every time I'm trying to remember something, it's not going to come out great because I'm just not going to lock that in. I think it's beautiful. I love watching it, but I've just come to terms with that. That's not going to be what I'm
Okay,
doing.
that's not you. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Now, how did you publish your books? How did you start that journey? Did you do some studying to try to publish it? Did you know some publishers? How did you do it? Was it published by a company or did you self-publish?
I had self-published, so the journey actually started um around COVID. That
Okay.
crazy
That was a
time.
crazy period.
Yeah, that crazy time period. And I this opportunity came up to write a book. Like, it was a challenge to write a book, a poetry
Mhm.
book, in 21 days.
Mm.
And I'm like, I can do this. I think I can do this. And I've
Mhm.
always wanted to write a book. And so it was like, why not? Everything's crazy right now.
Mhm.
Why not focus on this? So for 21 days, once I entered the challenge, I wrote poems. I was editing, getting things together. And by the end of that, I had a book.
That's
Um,
awesome.
it was self-published. There was a publishing company technically, but it was
Mhm.
more just paying the fees for them to do what I found out later on that I could do myself. So
Mhm.
that was the start to it. And that was a beautiful time period, a beautiful time of learning. And every single time I'm going through this process, because I'm an indie author, there's a lot of learning, even for the things that I have already learned, because things are always changing. There are different ways to do things. So that kind of brought me to my first journey. It started out as a challenge, but always something that I was passionate about and wanted to do.
Now, I saw that you have published 3 books, and you said that you're always learning with every time you're publishing and just the whole process.
Mhm.
What would you want to tell a new writer or author or poet? What's that number one thing you would give them as a key to help them out in this journey from what you've learned?
I would say a few things. First of all, you can do this. It is not as hard as it seems. It's going to take some time, but there are a lot of resources out there. That's what I came to rely on when I figured out I could do this for myself. I said, how am I going to do this? Especially because I did not know anybody else who was doing it to
Hmm.
kind of shoulder some of this on or ask questions. YouTube is a really great resource. You can learn so many things, and there are people who have gone through the process and they walk you step through step on how to do things. So don't knock just learning yourself and doing it, because I think that's valuable too. When you're learning how to do something yourself, it helps you not to be reliant on somebody else, so you can get things done in the time frame that you want to, at your own pace, and you don't need to stop because someone else is, not available for you. So I would say research is definitely key. YouTube is
Hmm.
valuable. There are some other sources as well, but that was definitely a big part of the process, and taking notes once you are there.
Now that's
That's
good.
what I go back to, because that's that's what I did. Once I figured out how to do it, I'm like, okay, I'm writing this down because I'll forget. I'm not going
Mhm.
to, and like I won't know. So if I write it down, I can say, you know what, I've done this. Now I have some notes that say, oh yeah, like it really is that simple. You just click here, go here. This is how you do it. So take notes when you're learning this. Don't just go, oh, okay, I got it, because you may forget. And even if you don't, it's nice to have something to go back on, especially if you write it. You'll understand that better than having to listen to somebody else give you that information.
That's true. Now, how did you do your launch for your first book in comparison to how you launched this recent book? Because you've learned in this journey. So
Yes.
what did you do that was different?
Everything was different. The first go around with the first book, I wrote that book more for myself so that I could see that I could do it, to have
Mhm.
something that I had my name on, that I created, that I took the time with. And there was no marketing aspect or really launch. It was just, it's done and I did it and it's mine and it's out in the world.
Mhm.
Um, so I was satisfied with that at the time. That was the goal. So the goal had changed by the
Right.
time this most recent book came out, and even my second book. I
Mhm.
wanted more people to be involved and engaged with what I had written, because I wanted to present it to people who could take something from it. I wanted to get people pre-excited before it came out. Marketing is another crazy aspect of being
Mhm.
an independent author and having to do that yourself, that I'm still learning right now as we go.
Now, what surprised you about marketing? And as far as this, the biggest thing, in comparison, how many people do you feel you were able to reach the first time in comparison to this time, and getting the sales that you wanted to, wanted to receive?
Hmm. Oh, well, the first time, because it wasn't really, the sales weren't necessarily important as the journey of
Mm-hmm.
writing the book and
Mm-hmm.
getting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there wasn't so much pressure then. It's not necessarily that there's pressure now, except for the pressure I put on myself with this newest piece. But for this one, the reach definitely is different. I am using social media in a
Mhm.
different way, for marketing than I had before. Before it was just, Mom, look what I did, and tell my auntie and tell everybody to buy this book.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have learned that your family, I don't want this to come out incorrectly, but your
Okay.
family and your friends are not the most reliable source
Mm-hmm.
for marketing. I don't mean that they won't support you or they don't do things, but sometimes they're not as invested, or they will buy the book to support you, but they don't
Mhm.
necessarily read it, and you're looking for those things. So there's been a lot of different things as far as that, finding people to kind of pre-read the book before it's out, um,
Mm-hmm.
finding people who you can maybe even offer the book for free if they will read the book and give you a review. Like, there are different ways, to market.
So, are you already working on the next book?
I, I'm always already working on the next book. This book came out this year, but I initially started back in 2022, with the concept and idea as it came up. My brain, I'm neurodivergent, and my brain is always like moving and going places. That can
Mhm.
be very distracting sometimes, but there are good things that come out of it as well. And that is what I like to call for myself the shift, where one little thing sparks another little thing, and it just starts a rolling ball. And this book in and of itself was actually inspired by the title, hearing the word carte blanche and realizing one day randomly that I had no idea what that actually meant. So I looked it up, and once I did, I loved the concept, and I said, how can I apply that? Like carte blanche, which in French means like blank check or blank document, and then
Mhm.
for us in English, we interpret that as kind of a freedom or a free reign. Because if somebody gives you a blank check and they say, go ahead and do what you want,
Give
you
me a
can
blank
do
check.
so. Yeah. So I was like, wow, like I absolutely love that concept. If I could do that, how would I do that? What would that look like? And
Mm-hmm.
then the book was born from just that random moment of curiosity, even at that time, and just writing pieces for it. And it definitely evolved with life that was going on, um, and different things that were happening to and for me in life. But the timing of it came out wonderful because I think that the world is in a very confusing place right now.
Yes.
And I think that having mental clarity about what we want and being honest and authentic with ourselves is going to help us get on track. So I think that the timing could not have been better, but that is God ordained because like I said, this process started sometime back and was only finished now. Perfect, if you ask me.
Now, when I first saw you on TikTok,
Mhm.
it was your words. I did like your video, but it was the words that came across to me and how basically you were doing you were reading over and you was reading it. That's what it sounded like. It did not sound like one of those voices that you can pick.
Yeah.
So that drew me in. Do you find that you get people that just basically DM you or just talk to you just because they hear you and they hear your words and they identify with you?
Yeah, I do. A lot of people, I've been told a few times now that it's the way that I read, that is
Mhm,
very expressive, and the words definitely matter as well. But it's
mhm,
how they are presented that makes a difference and makes people feel something. And that's one of the biggest and most wonderful compliments that I can get is that it made you feel something because that means that we have a connection now that you've
mhm,
connected to what I've written, that it is doing something for you, stirring something in you. And that is the thing that made me want to write in the beginning because when I read poetry, it made me feel something. And I
mhm,
was like, wow, I want to be able to do this for other people. I think I can do this. And it's developed past just basic, I don't want to say basic poetry like any poetry is basic, but concepts of just anything to things that are important emotionally, mentally, even spiritually at now. And I value that. And I know that there are other people who do too. So I feel very in my truth when I am hearing the validation outside of myself as well that other people are taking that in. They do tell me about how I read and that um how I read and what the words have to offer. Somebody recently got my book and she told me that it made her cry, that it made her emotional, it helped her release. And
mhm,
that was not something that I expected necessarily from this book. It has a very positive tone and quality, but that's the other beautiful thing about this that I like to refer to myself as an artist, which I've kind of struggled with because as a poet, saying you're an artist, because if you look at a lot of artist categories, people think music,
mhm,
people think actual art, drawing or painting, but I don't necessarily see the word artist often associated with poets. Sometimes it is, but not as often as those other realms. If you say you're an artist, I don't think people jump to words and jump to poetry. But it made her feel a lot of different things. Just like if you look at a picture or if you hear
mhm.
a song and the words resonate with you. And that's why I like the reference of being an artist in what I do, because this is my art. But that I hope to continue to be able to give that to people and present that. That's what I want to do. And it's not, it feels good for me, but because I know that it's doing something for other people. She said it helped her
Mhm,
feel like she was releasing a lot of things. I love that. We
mhm,
need those things. I feel like the world is in a state where we need a lot of healing and we're going to need a lot of healing. So
mhm.
if what I can offer in what is innate to me can do so much for it, just even that one person, I know that there's got to be more than one person that it can affect in that manner. And it's a positive manner. So I appreciate that.
Now, do you have a group that you work with and that you journal, or that you guys do write poetry, or do y'all have designated time that you work together? How is your work routine for your poetry?
I don't have a group. It would be nice. I for a while was toying with that idea on Facebook and doing Writing Wednesday, where I presented a prompt, I'd answer it myself and give people the chance to do so. But I want to kind of change that up. I have not continued with that because I want to do something different.
Mhm.
This is kind of again into that marketing zone and trying to find the right audience for the right thing. And I just don't think Facebook is the right place for that concept, but I'm thinking of doing maybe YouTube segments,
Mhm.
possibly. And right now, TikTok has been very kind to me as far as finding a nice audience and being able to be in lives with other people, other creative people who are writers and poets and things as well. But my writing process is pretty much by myself. I was going to my local library every Wednesday because that is
Mhm.
my time that I deem for a few hours is my personal time to be away from the kids and everything and just really have some time to focus. That's how I wrote the book before last. I was there every Wednesday for a couple hours. They have like a little quiet area where it's a designated room you can go into and nobody's talking or anything. They're just writing, reading, or typing. So I take my whole little bag with all my notebooks, pens, pencils, and laptop and just transition through whatever my brain is telling me, whether I'm writing stuff down manually or typing on the keyboard. And I usually start with just generally writing to get my thoughts out. I
Mhm.
like to journal for maybe about 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes it just depends on how I'm feeling. And then I go into actually writing because I think that that kind of helps release me from whatever I'm into for the moment and then
Mhm.
to come into a more creative mindset and space.
Well, that makes sense because you have to get from the mom everyday work brain, and you got to get into your creativeness, get into your art, as you call it. My thing is, um, I find it hard to have time to sit down and journal. So that is awesome that you have designated time and you can get your thoughts out on paper, because getting your thoughts out is huge. It's huge, for everyone. That's the reason why they're so conflicted, because you constantly, you're in your head. You just got this mental conversation going on. But
Yeah.
it's excellent to see that you have provided time.
I'm trying. Self care is not selfish. It is very much a requirement that we don't take. The world is filled with a lot of stimulation because of how much technology has transformed, and it's wonderful, but it also can set us into spirals of anxiety and everything else. So
Mhm.
taking a little bit of time to back away and to just be with you is great. I'm trying to every Monday on Instagram, I do like a body doubling session where I'm working, where I'm just
Mhm.
writing and I'm on camera. I'll have music in the background, but to try to encourage people to just, if they want to take that time, kind of feel like somebody is there with them.
Now,
Um,
what's that time again? Make sure the listeners know in case they want to work right along with you.
I try to do that from about 9 to 10:30, 11 or so. Just kind of depends on what the vibe is at that time. But yeah, just a little bit of relaxing music. I call it my rise and reset on Monday.
All right. Now, the YouTube, will it be a YouTube live? Because that sounds like while you're writing, you can be taking questions. I know you're going to start off with the long form videos, but when they can start asking questions and working with you, I can see a real vibe happening in that community then.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm working on that as we speak, trying to come up with something. I do have a channel, but I am still developing how I want things to move. Because I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out right now and through other social media what people are liking right now, what is going to be able to kind of draw them in, but in an honest way. I'm not looking for people to just subscribe or anything like that. I want to be able to actually help people. So I'm trying to figure out how to provide what I can do to the right people that want to be in that space, because I do want to be able to help. Um, but I'm hoping to do some videos like that. I would love to do YouTube, like some lives on YouTube, but I think I'll right now keep to some slightly shorter form where they can watch at their leisure, to
Mhm.
do these things if they'd like to, and hopefully get some feedback from that to see where to go
Mhm.
next. I want it to be a real community where people are involved, because that is what the community is. So their opinions matter about how we're going to
Mhm.
move forward and what we're going to do, because it's not a me thing, it's an us thing.
I love it. I love your idea. I love how you're pushing this through. I want you to tell everyone where they can find your books, what's your website, or if you have a website, just how can they get in contact with you?
I'm on several social media platforms. You can find me at crashmat.thepoet on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can find me on Facebook. You go to www.facebook.com/crashmat.thepoet. And my books, all of my books are available on Amazon. The poem I just read was from this newest book, Carte Blanche, Words That Set My Soul Free. But yes, they're all on Amazon. They are available in digital form as well as paperback. And if you have Amazon KU or Kindle Unlimited, you can read the book for free. So they are there.
And leave a review on
Yes,
Goodreads or on Amazon.
everywhere, wherever the book is available, leave it.
And they can also follow your Amazon page.
They can
So when
follow
they're coming out with
author.
new books.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, you can. I would really appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on today. I enjoyed having you, and I just want you to come on every time you have a book. Let's really get your books out there,
I
and
love that.
let's.
I'd be so honored.
Oh yes, thank you, thank you. I always want to promote authors, and basically, I want us to all come together and have a network. Just have people to
I,
lean on, talk to, give information to, because I'm a podiatrist. And if I didn't come out with my 10 core people and we didn't work together, there's no way we would have got through.
I I understand that. That's wonderful. I'm all about trying to shape a community, especially for positive and push out of other people. I love that. I love that concept. So I'll definitely be back the next time I have a book. Thank you for having me. This has been very fun, and just it just feels very natural. I loved every little piece of it. I really appreciate this opportunity.
I appreciate you too.
Thanks for joining us on AGR Book Talk, where every story is an experience waiting to be shared. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. Stay connected with us on social media and let us know what books and experiences are inspiring you. Until next time, keep reading, keep exploring, and keep the conversation going. See you in the next chapter.